Thanks very much for joining us today for this MRes Social Science Research Information webinar. My name's Guy. I work in student recruitment, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Gladys Gagnon, who is the program director, right, Gladys? I'm sure you can clarify that
Yes.
later. The program director for the program. So Gladys is going to give us some insights into the course structure, the teaching approach, and what it's like to study this course at Queen's. And then I'll cover off some practical information around fees, funding, scholarships, and how to apply. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please type them into the chat box, or we can mute or unmute you later and you can ask the questions. Just bear in mind that this session is being recorded, so make sure your cameras and mics are off. Okay, Gladys, over to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Guy, and good afternoon, everybody. So this is the Master of Social Science Research. So basically, this is the degree that will provide you with skills to be able to conduct your own research and also evaluate research that others have done, really be able to critically evaluate and analyze what you see as others' work out there. So will gain from this course the tools to explore new questions, learn how to ask good questions, and to reach new conclusions. So, I mean, there's a very basic question on that slide that you can see. What is research? Okay. So we just got there as it's the detailed study of a subject to discover facts or reach new conclusions. And that's just really a simple definition. So if you are really interested in doing your own independent work, this is the course for you because it really gives you the tools and the skills to do that. So why would you do the Master in Research in our school, Social Science Education and Social Work at Queen's? Um, so we have an internationally recognized team of lecturers, professors, and researchers in sociology. So the sociologists, we deliver most of the modules. And you can see there a range of books that have been written by various lecturers and professors in our school. You see Katie Hayward there being interviewed by the BBC. So some of our staff are regularly called on to comment in the public domain, really about pressing social issues. So you will be gaining a lot from the experience of our staff. And we engage with a lot of cutting edge research topics, which folks like you would be interested in, I would imagine, things about conflict, post-conflict societies, inequalities, power imbalances, polarization, other types of political sociology and social relationships. So, we've got a wide range of staff with interest in the most pressing topics, I suppose, in the world today that would engage with you. In terms, our teaching is research led, so we write the books and papers that are used in class. Okay, so we do our own research, and we'll tell you how we did it, and you can work along with us and tell us what we could have done better. Right, that's also part of the process, but you'll be taught by active researchers. So what do we teach? This is a course that is going to give you a good grounding in both quantitative and qualitative research methods. So you can see the range of modules that we have there. So approaches to social research. This is basically a module. It gives you a broad overview of how to do social research. It also sets you up, if you're doing the full master's degree, to write your dissertation. Now, I know some people will choose to do the postgraduate diploma or certificate in which you don't do the full research dissertation. But if you're doing the master's, you will do your own independent research project, which obviously gives you a load of experience in doing research and project management as well. So that's a core module for you. You'll do theory and debates in social research, which introduces you to some of the key theoretical approaches that undergird the methodological approaches. Then you have a series of, so those are like 20 CATS modules. Okay, so that's like a 10, 11-week course. You also have some shorter modules where you focus specifically on methods. So you can see that there are two qualitative ones there. So the first one, the sources and construction of qualitative data. I actually teach that module, and that goes through, I suppose, some of the philosophical foundations of qualitative research, what it is, why it's important. And also starts providing you with a baseline in terms of how to be a reflexive researcher, to think about how your own identities impact on the projects you choose, and so forth, and how to start doing the research itself as well, interviews, focus groups, that sort of stuff. And then that's following on from that, you do a qualitative data analysis module, which is also a shorter module, 10 cats, where you will learn how to use qualitative data analysis software programs to code qualitative data and learn how to present qualitative data in an effective way. It's qualitative data does something very different from quantitative. Qualitative data isn't representative or generalizable like quantitative data is. It more gives you a deep and rich picture of the meanings people give to their social worlds, I suppose. Then you have these quantitative courses, sources and instruction of quantitative data and quantitative data analysis foundational. So those are like, in general, the two core courses, which teach you how to do, well, philosophy behind quantitative data, right? That's in the sources and construction of quantitative data. And then in the other course, you learn how to do it using, again, software programs. Depending on your skill level, if you've already done a lot of quantitative modules as an undergraduate, you might, instead of doing those two, the sources and construction and the foundational, you would skip right ahead and do the intermediate one to accompany that and drop one of the less advanced ones. So if you already are coming in with a certain level of skills, we can adjust for you. And you also have a bespoke 10 cats module about doing social science research online. And that takes you through the main techniques and strengths and limitations of doing an entire research project online. It's obviously a different thing, going out, doing participant observation, interacting with people in the so-called real world. It's different from how you might interact with people through the medium of the internet or a screen or through social media or whatever. So that module explores those sorts of issues. So, in terms of both qualitative and quantitative work, why would you study qualitative methods? Um, Qualitative methods allow you to explore the, you know what, this is this slide actually says, why study qualitative methods? That should say quantitative methods. There's a typo on there as I'm looking at it now. So this slide is more directly related to the quants, okay, rather than the qualitative. So ignore the heading there. So basically quantitative methods. So this is using your numbers, doing surveys, doing survey analysis, that sort of thing. This allows you to explore the extent of a phenomenon among populations. So we live in an increasingly data-rich world. Numbers are being thrown at us all the time, and this course will give you the skills to be able to make sense of all that and to interpret the data that's out there in real world terms. There's high demand among employers for graduates who have expertise in quantitative skills. Not all undergraduate degrees even offer modules in quantitative skills in the social sciences. So I know here for your undergraduate Queens in our school, we do offer quantitative courses, but not every university will do that. So to have done your undergraduate at Queens and then doing a master's at Queens, you will have gotten a really good grounding in these quantitative approaches. And the modules will be hands-on. You will work with social science data collected from surveys. Some of you may know of the Northern Ireland Life and Times survey, which is a big survey done every year that's organized by researchers here in Queens and Ulster University as well. So there's that huge data set. There's other data sets. So you will get the chance to go in and really play with the data. And your lecturers will be people who have real world experience. They will have published in quantitative journals and be able to guide you through that. So here we go. Now here's the why study qualitative methods. This is a slide without a typo on it, right? So qualitative is different from quantitative. So quantitative is your numbers and your survey research. Qualitative is really focused on the fine detail of how the world works, if we want to put it that way. So I often, I am a sociologist of religion, so the distinction I often use in class when I'm talking about this, like a quantitative approach to studying secularization would be charting the decline in attendance at worship services over the years, right? A qualitative approach would be, doing interviews or focus groups or whatever to find out why people don't go to religious services anymore, okay? And get an in-depth perspective on it. So that's the different types of data that come out of quantitative and qualitative approaches. So the qualitative methods focus on collecting in-depth information from relatively small numbers of participants. So while a good survey may have 1,000 respondents, you can do a qualitative project with, 10 to 30 interviews, something like that. The data will reflect the lived experiences of participants. So you get a really good understanding about what people think or experience on different aspects of their lives, whatever it is you're interested in, their experience of homelessness, for instance, or your experiences of political activism, any number of topics, you can get a real in-depth perspective. And again, you will get the opportunity to do hands-on qualitative work. Um, you will, in your module where you look at how to use qualitative data analysis software programs, you will work with social science data collected from focus groups and interviews. Think about how to code that thematically and gain that experience. So, your lecturers in qualitative methods will also have lots of experience in conducting qualitative research themselves and be able to guide you through that. So, in addition to the core modules, you also have some optional modules you can take. 20 CATs topical courses. These will all be in the second semesters. Um, so you can take one about Northern Ireland specifically, one about inequality and emotions. I teach a module on religion, power, and peace building that we're trying to get offered for this if folks on this would like to take it. And on those particular modules, you also maybe with students from other degrees, the masters that we have here in sociology and global inequality, and also some of your other core modules that you have for the MRes. There will be students, PhD students on them as well. So one of the other good things about this particular course is that students who are enrolled in the 9 PhD program, which is a funded PhD program, are required to take methods modules, and they'll be in some of the courses with you. And that really, I think, diversifies the student body, and you get to learn as well from each other, which I think is a really good experience for you. Now, in terms of the dissertation, I saw a question it has come into the chat about the dissertation, so thanks for that. So the question is about when does that process start? So I'll cover that here in my remarks, but just to basically say what the dissertation is. So you will choose a topic of interest to you, and it's about 15,000 words that you will produce on this topic. It would be based on either primary or secondary research. So it's possible to, like, if you want to do a quantitative dissertation, use, already existing data sets like the Northern Ireland Life and Times, European social surveys, whatever. It's possible to do an entire dissertation, analyzing that type of data, or you can collect your own data. If you're qualitative, uh, want to take a qualitative approach and interview people, or use creative and visual methods, which is, some other things that we'll cover in our qualitative courses, you can gather your own data, carry that out, and then analyze it. You can see there it's undertaken with the guidance of a supervisor, and it really, I like to think about the dissertation starting as soon as you come to Queen's, right, in September. So that approaches to social research module that you will have basically is also preparing you to write your dissertation. So in that, you will be encouraged to think about what topic you want to explore and what methods you want to use. And by the end of the first semester, you will have been allocated a supervisor, and you can meet with that supervisor in the first semester to kind of start talking things through. And then once the second semester starts, it's up to you how fast you want to move, right, to work on this and to balance your time. But you can start on it and in earnest really in the second semester and start meeting regularly with your supervisor. If you are carrying out research with human subjects, anything where you have to interact with an actual human being, you'll have to get ethical approval through our school. And that in itself is also educational because you will learn about, all the different protections you need to put in place to keep people safe when you're conducting research, which is also, it's ethical and it's a useful skill. But the ethics process can take a few weeks to go through. And once you got ethics clearance, you can go out and gather your data as well. So you'll have a one-to-one relationship with your supervisor. who will have lots of experience in conducting their own research and also in project management. That's a key part of your dissertation as well, learning how to plan a project and carry it out, meeting all your deadlines, and then submitting it on time in the following August. Yeah. So you start in September, submit that in August. So full year if you're doing a full-time Master's of Research degree. So in terms of teaching and resources, it's mostly in-person teaching. Occasionally there will be some sessions or meetings online using MS Teams. Um, your data analysis modules will be held in computer labs that have the specialist software for you. And most of the computers in the Queen's Library also have that software, so you can use it outside of the classroom setting as well. All the lecture materials are available for you online on our virtual learning environment, which is Canvas. So if any of you are current Queen's students, you'll be familiar with Canvas. Also, we're saying, I suppose, that in order to accommodate people who have to work at least part-time, most of the modules are taught in the evenings, or some are taught like, sort of like a half day, Friday or something, or a Saturday. So that hopefully is easier for people to plan that around work schedules. So the course structure. Um, so the course I've been mainly talking about with the dissertation and so forth, that is the MRes. Um, so when it says 180 points, okay, that's what most of your modules are worth either 20 cats or 10 cats. So it's got to add up to 180 points from your modules, including your dissertation. So the dissertation is worth 60 cats. You can also exit with a postgraduate diploma, which is basically doing all the modules but no dissertation. Okay, and a lot of students take that option because they may not, be interested in the full master's degree, but the diploma can help them progress in their job or their career because they've gained the research skills. And then there's the postgraduate cert, which is basically taking 60 credits worth of CATs, and that's a skills based certificate, and again can be helpful to people in various careers. So, the entry criteria here, okay, so, you can see that, normally a 2-2 honors degree, or above, and an equivalent qualification in a social science or related discipline, so sociology, criminology, political science. Um, if you don't have a related discipline, if you're in a non-related discipline, I don't know, civil engineering or something like this, right? We've spent normally 2-1 honors degree or equivalent qualification acceptable to the university. Um, if you have a strong 2-2 honors degree in a non-related discipline, you may be considered if you have at least 2 years of professional experience in a relevant context. Okay. So those are the entry criteria. The closing date is the 31st of July, and you can see some information there for international applicants, English language requirements. And I see some questions have actually come in about that in the chat as well. So I think Guy has answered that question also in the chat. So these are the contacts. So I am the program director. So any questions you may have about, further about the content of this particular degree, you can email me about that. And our administrator is Johnny Glover as well. So I believe now I will hand over to Guy, and he will talk you through the rest of the information about the university and Belfast.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Gladys, for the insights into this program. Um, Please do get your questions into the chat box there, and myself and Gladys will answer them in a few minutes. So Belfast, what a brilliant city to be a student in. It's globally connected. It's geographically on the island of Ireland, but politically and economically part of the UK. It's very close to Dublin, London, and other parts of Europe also. Queen's University is a Russell Group, so it's very prestigious, and it's also the ninth oldest university in the UK. Belfast's location featured in the National Geographic's top 30 most exciting destinations to visit in the world in 2024. So imagine being a student in it. Belfast is one of the UK and Ireland's most vibrant and affordable cities. So looking at the fees and funding, you can see that the fees vary depending on where you're normally a resident. There are postgraduate study loans available, so that says £6,500. I do believe that's going up to £10,000 this year. There'll be emails sent out regarding that. But for information on loans from other parts of the world, and including EU, you can scan that QR code there for more information. For international students, we have a range of scholarships available, so this varies from £3,000 to £4,000, depending on where you're normally a resident. The Postgraduate Office Scholarship is an automatic scholarship, so there's no application process needed. We also have the Early Confirmation Award, which is a discount of £1,500 if you paid your net fees in full by the 18th of September. There are other scholarships available. You can scan the QR code for more information on those. So how do you apply? Applying to Queen's is very straightforward. There's a link in the chat that I'll put in shortly. For those joining us live today, if you're watching a recording, use this link, or you can Google it. I'm sure it's very straightforward to find. If you have any questions about the application process or supporting documents, you can always message us at any time and we'll be happy to help.